Welcome everybody, this is Niclas Huschenbeth and today I would like to analyze the game Magnus Carlsen, the reigning world champion, against the Polish No.1 Radoslaw Wojtaszek from the 5th round of the Shamkir Chess Tournament 2018. This game was played today. So before the game, both players, Wojtaszek and Carlsen, had drawn all their 4 games. And Carlsen especially was getting a little bit frustrated not being able to win a game, so we'll see if this changed in this game. So let's get to it. Before we begin though, as always, the comment of the day, and the comment of the day comes by Aleph Null. He says, some of the best, if not the best commentary and game analysis on YouTube. Very happy that you're doing more English analysis of games again. Thank you very much. That definitely made my day. Appreciate the support there. So let's get to the game. Carlsen with the white pieces start out with 1 e4, and Wojtaszek plays his trademark opening, or he wants to play his trademark opening, the knight off. But Carlsen is having none of that. He goes for sideline. Instead of going for an open Sicilian here, we're going knight f3 followed by d4. He plays d4 right away, and now he has to take back with the queen. This looks odd at first because you're losing a tempo here, but Carlsen had something very specific in mind. And this move, queen back to d2, was only played 4 times so far according to my database. Usually people go bishop b5, but Carlsen had this setup in mind. Queen d2, knight f6, and now b3. That's why the queen goes to d2. First it looks like it's blocking the bishop, but the bishop is actually going to b2. e6, bishop b2, a6 castle, and we have really a unique position here, which you don't see often in the Sicilian, that white puts the bishop on b2, plays a fianchetto with the dark squared bishop, and this is exactly what Carlsen wanted. He didn't want to play any kind of theoretical duel with his very well prepared opponent Wojtaszek. He just wanted a fresh position where they were both on their own, but Carlsen supposedly was a little bit more familiar with this position as he had prepared it. So let's see what happened. b5, f3. f3, very typical move, supporting e4 as well as preparing g4. And I think here Wojtaszek played a move which is the cause for his problems later in the game. He plays the move h5. Typical move, also often seen in the knight off. The point is to stop any g4 action, so not allowing white to expand on the queenside for now, on the kingside for now, but it also has its drawbacks, as we'll see in the game. He probably should just go bishop e7 when it's not clear if white should play g4 right away, because black has an unusual tactic, knight takes g4, and I say unusual because usually the dark square bishop is on e3 and this wouldn't be possible, but here it is. White now cannot take back because of bishop g5 winning the queen. So instead white will need to play something else here like h4, knight h3, which is also interesting. White sacrifices a pawn but has the better development. Or in this position white could start with h4 and then go on with g4. But after h4 here, now you can make a better case for h5, because if white, as he does in the game, later plays with f4, then at least you have the g4 square for your knight available. So maybe bishop e7 in this position. Alright, let's see again. h5, and now we see immediately Carlsen going for the g5 square, and this is the drawback I was talking about. The g5 square is now weak, and you can't really get rid of a piece landing there, as you don't really ever want to play f6, as it would weaken your position too much. Wojtaszek goes h4, now f4, and we see here what I mean. With the pawn of white already on h4, this knight would find a very stable outpost on g4, but now knight g4 doesn't do anything. White can always push this knight away with h3. So instead Wojtaszek developed his last minor piece, bishop b7, now king b1, very typical move in the Sicilian. The king is usually better placed on b1 than c1, gets out of this file, gets out of this diagonal just in case. Good square for the king. Rook c8, bishop e2, queen c7 and rook he1. We see white is developing all his pieces, and the problem for black is his king. His king is in the center and just doesn't find a safe spot anywhere on the board. Another drawback of playing h5, that you can't really ever castle short again because you have opened yourself up too much on the king side, and obviously queenside castle is not possible anymore, and even if it was, then also here black has opened up his position already. So here maybe Wojtaszek should have still gone for castle, but even then his position would be difficult. Maybe a move like king f8, but in either case he's already in trouble here. He went for knight h7 when he should be in even more trouble. Now Carlsen took on h7, and here Carlsen went g4, which is a good move, but there was something even stronger, and it's very, very typical. So keep this in mind whenever you see Sicilian. Always look out for this motive I'm going to show you right now, and that's the move knight to d5. Usually this happens after black provokes the knight to move, attacking it with b4, but in some cases, as in this one, you can even play it without this provocation, and well, black pretty much has to take, otherwise white takes on e7 and the d6 pawn becomes very weak. And then this is the whole point. The pawn takes back on d5, white opens the e file against the black king and gets superb attacking play here. For example, if the knight was to move back now, knight b8, and white could fall with bishop d3, rook h5, rook takes e7 check, and now king takes e7, queen e2 check, picking up the rook, or queen takes e7, rook e1. And white wins the queen and has a very good position. So the best actually black should do in this position is just go king f8, give back the piece, but then white has opened up the files for his rooks. There's a weakness on d6, the black king is weak. This is just a very, very good position for white, on the edge of winning, in fact. So knight d5 was already possible, but also after g4 white retains his edge, takes, bishop f6, bishop d3. And while we're talking about typical motives in the Sicilian, let me show you another one, which is possible, but bishop d3 is also very good. There's the move e5. And the point is that after d takes e5, now the e4 square is empty, and the knight can come there and go to d6, maybe take on f6. This would have been also strong, but maybe Carlsen didn't like that after rook d8, knight d6 check, black can sacrifice the exchange. And this position is actually not that clear, because black has a number of pawns here on the king side. Alright, so let's see what happened in the game. Bishop d3 preparing e5. Now e5 is a threat, so the rook retreats to h8. g4 makes also a lot of sense, gaining more space here, and also preparing to open up the position against the black king, which is still stuck in the center and will be for the rest of the game, as both the rooks have already moved. So knight d4, and now rook e3, another good move, covering of course this threat, and also preparing once more any knight d5 action. And this is why actually here Wojtaszek sidestep with king f8. And that was necessary, because otherwise indeed g5 followed by knight d5 would be very strong. So king f8, and now Carlsen played knight e2, which is possible, but maybe it would have been better to just keep the position as it is, because after knight e2 there are a couple of exchanges coming, and play a move like queen f2 and slowly preparing something here, e5, g5, something along these lines, and white is doing very well here. And this position is also easier to play for white, because black always has to watch out with his king on f8. So knight e2, knight takes, rook takes, and now Wojtaszek played bishop c3, which is an inaccuracy for sure. He should just chop the bishops off instead, and play a move like queen c5. c5 is a very nice square for the queen, controls some squares here, and yes, black is still worse, but not by that much. And this is certainly the best position Black would have seen in a long time, in fact. But instead, Wojtaszek played bishop c3, now Carlsen took. And here, also another important thing to remember for you guys, when there's a possibility of queen trade on the board, you want to check the position of the kings, king safety. And when your king is safer than your opponent's king, you want to keep the queens on the board. And this is clearly the case here, with the king on b1 very safe, especially since dark square bishops have been exchanged. And the king on f8 not that safe, as white is ready to open up the position somehow by moving these pawns forward. So that's why Carlsen goes queen e3, keeping the queens on the board. And here Wojtaszek makes a mistake, but his position is difficult already. He should maybe go for a passive move like rook d8, already covering the pawn on d6, or maybe a move like e5, but in either case his position would still remain difficult, as I've already said many times, the king on f8 is always the problem child for black in this position. So Wojtaszek went rook c5, but now white goes e5, and he's ready to open up files. That's what he wants to do. He wants to open up files against the black king, and that's what he achieves with this move. Takes, and now Wojtaszek plays the decisive mistake. He goes rook to h1, and that loses on the spot, but his position is beyond repair anyway, because the white attack is just a free attack. White hasn't even sacrificed anything, and black doesn't really have any counterplay. Probably best would be to go rook c7, but then g5, bishop d5, g6. We see white is opening up more files. Black should go f5, now takes, rook f1, and okay, white still needs to be precise, but he is winning here, and it is very likely that Carlsen would have also taken home the full point here. Rook h1 though makes it quite easy for white. And actually, let's do this as the exercise of the day. How did Carlsen finish Wojtaszek off here in this position? White to move. Pause the video if you would like to, and when you're ready, press play. Alright, so white goes for attack. Very simple. Rook h2. Attack not only the bishop on h1, but also threatening to come into h8. So if black was to move back the bishop, say to d5, then white gets in with his pieces, and this will not end nicely for black. Queen d6, king c6, rook b8, and queen b6 checkmate. So that's the problem. Maybe Wojtaszek thought he can play rook takes e5 here, but white is able now to give two checks. First on h8, king e7. White also has to watch out here himself, because if the rook comes to e1, that would be very bad. But white gives another check on a7, and here black resigned, because after king f6, white can take immediately on h1, or you can go queen f2 check first and then take on h1, and he's simply a piece up here for one pawn, and also the white attack probably continues, so there was no point in continuing the game from here. So quite a convincing victory by Magnus Carlsen, and what really, I think, paved the way for this win was his new opening idea, where he was more familiar with the position. Unusual situation with the Fianchetto I think it's called, on b2, the bishop, and then Carlsen managed to just push his pawns forward, and Wojtaszek never really found in the game. It seems he couldn't really deal with this opening concept of his opponent very well. So convincing victory by Magnus Carlsen, and now he's behind Topalov on second place in the tournament Shamkir Chess. If you want to play through the game yourself, then you can just do it in the description. There's a link, and let me know your comments if you found the secrets at the end, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye bye.